Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Me Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League. We are in for race number 5 in round number 3 of 2023-24, and we are on Chasing the Sun to day 4, 1 lap, 35 kilometers, and a lot of points racing. Dave, let's get right down into it as the ladies in the elites, the A's, have gotten out on course. We'll get a replay of the first sprint that came through the alleyway on Chasing the Sun. Chasing the Sun, Dave, as we watched the first images in McCurry from when it was launched. Well, were there any expansions? I don't think so. I actually don't think there was too many expansions. It was just quite right from the get-go, part of the entirety of it.
Wasn't there a Umazi expansion that happened?
There was a Umezi. But I'm not sure. That's an interesting one. Nat Smith, though, is letting us know that she's trying to expand the reality of some points for Team Riot at this point. We're looking at Ulmaran as well from ATP in a Riot sandwich. But Megan Rathwell made a little bit of a punch up and over the top of the Railways entrance. Nat Smith now to the front, as you can see. But Xena, we were talking about her. This is the new kid on the block who has been taking down sprints left, right, and center. And there it is again. Kind of being like, I think she's a force to be reckoned with here. And OTR found this rider that is going to put them kind of on the board, I think, Dave.
Zaina Lutfi. Yeah, Nathan, I completely agree. The silver medalist at the Canadian National Championships. Breakthrough rider is actually underselling the talents that this woman has. So certainly, if you're looking for a new rider to watch, that's the woman. No question. So this is one of the craziest race courses that I've ever seen in my life. It is very, very hard to describe to someone everything that's going on out here, but this is going to be a replay that we're looking at as they come through the market. This is literally just seconds into the race as we take a look at Angela Roberts and Zaina Lutfi here going for it. This first sprint, the alley sprint here, leads right into the railway sprint. So within the first 5K, there's a lot of points distributed. But that's going to be the first time that we see here today the sprinting prowess of Ms. Lutfi, who's definitely going to be a rider to watch. And there she is again as we pick up the action, along with the Scotty the Squirrel hat. So if you are looking on Zwift Insider, the combination team here will be the OTR Revo squad. You know, Nathan, for some reason on this end here in Colorado, my screen is looking to... it's just actually changing now. I'm seeing those numbers popping.
It was zoomed in on Xena.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was zoomed in. It was zoomed in. I actually have a couple of cool little tools I don't use that often, but there's a couple of them there's one. I didn't use the zoom factor of it though, so like that was the reason why it didn't make quite as much sense. But maybe we'll try that a couple more times here throughout the broadcast and see if it does some.
Right. It's funny because, after 4 years of us doing this together, it's rare that something like that happens, but I realize that you've got a lot of tricks up your sleeve over there. So up on the rooftop. So, I mean, when you describe this course, Harbit to Marketplace, into the alley, railway, rooftops, the arcade. I mean, it sounds like quite a day just on paper, as this is how the points stand. It's close. When you look at this one. As a matter of fact, Riot on top here with 76 points, but with 2 races remaining, we're into one of the 2. This is the 5th of 6 races in this season. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens and where the points are distributed after today's race. With Aeonian sitting at second, that's the Revo OTR combo team. The Cinderellas sitting there tied with ATP Racing Stingers and Les Cyclopaths, the Quebec-based team sitting on 64 points in 5th. It's going to be a very interesting day of racing out here today, Nathan.
It is. No, this is the interesting thing here, Dave, is I think that all 4 of those teams are completely able to take down still the championship here. And I think this round number 3 is really up in the air still. And I have a feeling there's some planning going on around all of them. I really do. And I think that there's everyone's showing up with a plan. We'll see what happens once they actually get punched in the chin in the face with some of them here. But I mean, I look, national champion to the front, Dave. Is there going to be a move being made? A lot of these ladies probably saw earlier today. That's Jen Rio there making her way to the front there for Riot. But earlier today, Haley Simmons with the walkaway ride. We'll see if perhaps that one of these riders try and simulate something similar. Doesn't look like anything making a move just as of yet, though.
What's interesting, Nathan, is the only rider that could pull that off, in my opinion, would be someone on the, I was going to say, Leigh Watt sisters team, just because they're out of. Yeah, because the only real, so couple factors there. But Haley Simmons, the first one is she's a world-class athlete. She's been on the podium at the Commonwealth Games in her cycling career. So, one, she's an incredible talent. But two, no matter how well she rode, she wasn't going to impact the ultimate outcome of the race for the top teams because her Movistar team was so far out of contention. So that was a very unique scenario. All of the women we're talking about, they're in contention. Nobody's going to be given that kind of free rein out here today. They might try and attack, and they will attack without any question, but I don't see that scenario happen. I hope my explanation makes sense there. It's not lack of ability, it's the situational, the reality.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the reality is that anything will get chased down, whereas Haley, so strong that chasing her down puts such a wrench into the plans, and it doesn't necessarily impact the race for you at all because that team is no longer a threat. So essentially, you just make first place for you. She gets all the rewards and palmares of the day, but besides that, there is no real impact, so you can let it go. Within this race, there's only one team that could actually pull that off.
Precisely. So, and I think the competitive balance that we have here, the way I'm really looking at this one is I'm expecting a masterclass from the Riot team in their defense out here. That's a team that has as much experience, really. From Anna Russell, you mentioned Jen Reel. This is a team that has been competitive now for just about every season of the ZRL, Nathan. I don't remember if they were involved in season 1 going back to 2020, but I think they probably were in something close to the incarnation that we're looking at now with that Riot team. So if there was one team that's set up well to defend, it's Riot. But as they say, I think the line is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Well, the same thing with the bike race here. If you really think that you can just control a bike race with sheer will, good luck to you. Because these women will get after it, create some really, really interesting race scenarios out here today. So, Nathan, we got to, again, one of the things that makes today so interesting is there's a lot of points in the beginning of the race and a lot of points at the end of the race, but then it's about a 10-kilometer slog through the middle part where there are no points distributed, where a lot of crazy things can happen out here.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see if we can jump across to a couple of the other categories. I do have probably the ability to do so. I'll do the best I possibly can as we get across all of the racing today. Let's go ahead and see a replay quickly here of the start of the men's race for the A category, though, tonight with the America's Open, as we see America's Open East 1A. It is going to be Bergman here, KRT Draft, making a go at it, but it was going to be the Dirty Ducks that came over the top with a huge kick to the line. And for Dirty Ducks, it's going to be Ellis actually taking that down. OG Alpha going to take second. It's going to be Kilborn from HTFU on for third. So that was the situation there on the men's side of things. They're about to head on over to the climb. We've got a little bit of a jailbreak here, trying to stay away. That hasn't been super successful. It has succeeded, but it's a good dice roll, Dave. We haven't seen it succeed easily, but if anybody can do it, I think Harris and Gumbo are going to be the ones that maybe. But Nicolette from HTFU as well as Day here trying to bring this back, and that's going to really create some speed, I think, because of these chasers from that group. And there's a lot of matches being burned. Not sure they're going to have a kick to the line any longer unless they back off just a little bit, just in time to reset. But I think the speed is going to be super high here coming into this railway sprint.
take a look at that logo on Zwift Power for the Alpha Collective. I definitely like that. Harris is a rider to watch. Certainly someone who's having a major impact on this race right now, as these guys are going to be coming up on Railway next here. I believe Brian Diddy taking the start with this group. The reigning American champion, freshly minted. Well, actually, he's been American champion.
Is that right?
I had him on the Alpha team taking the start here. Although he might not have, but on my Zwift Power.
Okay, gotcha.
But you're right. I'm not seeing a Stars and Stripes jersey nor his name. Here we'll see if he pops up. For Alpha today, I had Brian Diddy, Harris, Jason Cook, Moto Beats, Oliver Gagnon, and Peter West taking the start. We'll see how close that is.
But Diddy's not a national champion that I'm aware of. That's what my main thing was there. I do think Diddy is here, but riding for Alpha.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking Brian Diddy Jr.
Duffy
Jr. Right.
Yeah, gotcha. He's riding for next presented by Insured. Diddy here, riding for Alpha. Would have liked it if he would have jumped into national championships, though. Been interesting to see if he would have and tried to take that down. Bruce Bird, though, that's a national champion, Canadian, but I'm not sure they are donning the kits just as of yet. We'll have to wait and see once that all comes to fruition.
He was one of the master national champions, as well as competing in the elite nationals up in Canada just a couple of weeks ago. Talking about Bruce Bird on the front. Talk about a guy, Nathan, that is well suited to your breakaway challenge out here today.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Well, this is where things stand. Next presented by Insured. I'm not sure that they had been there the entirety of this round, actually. I think that this has been a battle to hold on to this spot. So draft versus Alpha versus Next. That's the situation, really. I think Hydrogen, as well as HTFU, they're going to battle it out for fourth place on the round here. There's VCRT and Team F3 and the Dirt Ducks there. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th. I think that's going to be a battle for that 6th place. But these top three, Dave, they're going to take it to each other.
No doubt. And I mean, talking about Brian Diddy, that Alpha Collective team is clearly coming in motivated. We've seen Harris and Diddy riding up near the front or on the front. They're trying to stimulate some action out here today. No question. You can see coming in 2 points behind. So with Alpha, 3 points behind Next, 1 point behind Draft. So that's far from over out here. Next, presented by Insured, is been a dominant team it's coming on a couple of years now that this team has been riding the top of the table week in, week out, but this is a real challenge that they're facing here.
Well,
not a runaway out here.
Not at all. And I think Draft are going to have something to say about that Alpha as well, and that's exactly who's on the front now at this point. It's going to be Draft and Alpha trying to get the better, perhaps with a little bit of a walk away. But here comes a bunch of feather power-ups as they're going to collect another one over the top. So I think everybody's going to be popping their feather power-ups through these sections. It's funny how that works, how one feather goes and then everybody goes with their feathers. I tend to be a rider who tries to get by without using my feather when everybody else is using their feather, or when everybody else is using I try not to be defensive with my power-up. And I know then if I have saved my power-up, everybody else then will have not have used it up, and I will have an advantage at some point. If I use it when everybody else is using it, well, you're just kind of evening the playing field, which sometimes if you're hurting, you just have to do that, right? You just have to get what you can to hang on. But I think, getting the min maximums of those power-ups is kind of what you want to aim at when you're using them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that you could make a good argument for riders coming from either angle on that, right? Whether you want to use this as a disruptive power-up to impact the race in your favor, or to try to make it easier for you when others are doing that, right? It's certainly, that's a very, very unique to each rider, that's for sure. Things back together here, no points here as they come under that arch. That fake arch.
Are we a little bit perturbed about the fakeness of that arch? Like, really, a fake arch? Come on now.
Before you see an arch and you expect some kind of point distribution, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Come on, fake arch, get with the program. Have something on offer. What's going on here?
Shouldn't say fake arch, but fake promises from the arch, I think.
Keep your promises. So, all right, well, up and over the top, I think this is going to be pretty calm. The ladies are about to hit the section, of course, where things tend to blow up, Dave. They're about to hit this dirt as they do leave Neokyo and head out into
Umazi Tunnel here.
Yeah.
This is
that
the
what it's called,
world.
actually? That Umazi Tunnel?
That's what I'm calling it.
I like that. That's a cool name, actually. Now, are you seeing the highlighted riders? Are you seeing how they're highlighted, those riders?
I was wondering about that today. It was Bruce Bird was being highlighted earlier.
Yeah, so 1.59 is just rolling out as an update, and part of that update is the highlighted riders. And so these riders are followed by this account. And so this account, when they are in a group, will see them as highlighted, or they're friends. They are friends within this group. And when you're in a group, to be able to identify who your friends are, you then can see a highlight around the riders that are on your friends list. So that's what that's about. I'm going to have to probably unfollow a bunch of... or unfriend a bunch of them, actually, so people don't think that there's anything other than this account is friends with or follows those individuals.
But for example, then, Jen Reel, who you've known for years, and you at some point, or Anna Russell, right? Is that Anna right next to her?
One of the reasons this account was following those individuals was so I could easily find them through the streamer account. That was why I followed them. I knew they were going to be in the race. I'd sometimes, go to my friends list in order to be like fan view quickly, because that's a race we follow often, essentially.
And to be fair, there's plenty of riders that I may have never heard of or that you have just used because you know that Ron Smith is always a C racer that does these events, and you can find Ron, that kind of thing, right? They've been just guides for you to get you into events.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So...
Well, so we're going to find out exactly who you've used, I guess, over the last few years.
I want to see if it resets live. I just the streamer account, I just took the friend off, but I think it is built into the code of when you enter the game, actually. So it's actually a part of when you enter, because they're good, unless we'll see what it recognizes in a little bit here, if the logic resets once it disappears once or not. See what happens, but just so everybody knows, able to talk about that publicly now, and there's rider highlights. It should be coming out slowly to everybody in the 1.59 update. I think it's a cool feature. One of my feedbacks was, hey, let's be able to build a team and make a color for that team, and then you could even know who's on other teams. So going into the race, you can see who's signed up, and then be like, this is color A, this is color B, this is my team, they're color C, or whatever it might be. And then you could kind of have different colored highlights to know who you're racing against.
Attack going clear.
Yeah,
here.
that was actually, so she came back, she rode right through them. They're going so chill that at 3.2 watts per kilogram, how would she hear? She just rode right through the whole pack here and just continued on.
Yeah, looks like that wasn't necessarily intentional. Just doesn't know her own strength.
They're about to hit that countryside sprint, Dave, it looks like. And I think that's why everybody's kind of taking it pretty easy now at this point.
I think the FTS is, we saw some pretty cool racing earlier today. Going back, Nathan, to using the first part of the race, Wahoo Lacole, going after FTS and FAL. That was the Aeonian Wahoo Lacole battle that happened during the middle part of the day today, where really, to be fair to Wahoo Lacole, they were so active throughout the entire race, they were able to build up enough of a buffer that I believe that they ultimately overcame a strong rush at the end for Aeonian here. So Tactics really, really matter. On days like today with so many points, I would think that if you want to talk about points per kilometer, this would be the day where we see the highest ratio of points to distance.
I was really surprised, actually, to be honest, at the end of
I
that.
was stunned.
I thought that for
Yeah.
sure that Ionian had done what they needed to. But those early attacks by Wahoo Lokol, the early points, they really stacked up, and it goes to show how important these early KOM, not early, mid-race KOMs, the over the top of the tempo climb, the reality of this country sprint being a massive point game, the first couple of sprints, the aggression through those are all those things are going to really add up. And some of the riders had well over 100 points actually to pull that off for Wahoo Lokol. Christy Tracy, she snuck off the front so quietly that I didn't even notice in any way whatsoever that Christy was off the front. There's no ghost power ups day, but she somehow just disappeared, like bye, and there she is. Suddenly appeared.
Boy, does this woman spend a lot of time riding alone in the wind. As Christy Tracy, one of the best endurance time trialists that America has right now, racing out of Texas. She's got a full charge there on her power bar as well.
Look how quickly it's coming down as she's off the front, though. I mean, that thing is like really flying down. Riot, though, now not necessarily chasing their own teammate, but just kind of setting things up for the rest of the pack, because I think Tracy is going to easily perhaps get this one. They're coming. No, she's gone. She's got 8 seconds. She's going to get that FAL for sure.
So she will get the FAL. That's 10 points. Let's see if her teammates can pick up that FTS. The fastest through segment. That's what they're going for there. And this will be interesting for sure as they come rushing through. So a bunch of those riders there will be getting both FTS and FAL points as they come under that arch. So next up, we'll start moving into climbing mode as the Temple KOM is the next feature here. Couple kilometers lower.
That down. So Tracy ended up being the one who came across first, but then Angela Roberts tried going really early. But Dave, Annie Poland, that is not a name I usually see at the front end of a sprint like that. Annie Poland, what a ride from her right there, grabbing big points. And I'm not sure that even Angela held on.
What about FTS as well for Poland there?
Yeah, with the timing there, because Roberts went early for an FAL, but I think faded a lot. So that's an interesting one, Dave. I'm going to go back here to a couple of riders and see if I can actually, this is a weird way to do it, but what we can do is we can go like this, hit that leaderboard, and Floorzone's the only one that's come on through on the country sprint so far. If I go forward just a little bit, so there it is. So Floorzone takes it down, it looks like. That's an ATP rider, actually. And then Zena, Lawson, there. So it's Lawson, then Zena, then Jen Reel, then Kelly, then Anna Russell, then Whitaker. It's all over the map there, Dave, honestly.
Yeah. But there's enough riot up there that they're more than holding their own. The top team coming in with the 2-point advantage into this 5th or 6th race.
Look at all the Trons off in the distance, Dave. Just disappearing into the... That was pretty cool shot. Actually.
Yeah, I've never really seen anything like that. Just like Trons on the horizon. There.
Trons on the horizon.
That sounds like artwork. Yeah.
I thought it was more like a 70s classic
Trons
song.
On the horizon. or a video game or something.
Yeah, Trons on the horizon. I don't know. Like I'm thinking, what's the, who did Dust in the
Red
Wind?
Skies at Night kind of. Yeah, I'm with you. It's more of a song than anything else.
Yeah, like a Kansas song, like Dust in the Wind, Trons on the Horizon. I don't know.
Trons on the Horizon. All right. So, but I don't know that, I don't think that they've really fully released all of the information yet, so I don't want to talk out of school, but there's a pretty cool bike that's going to be associated with the Zwift games.
We talked about it. We did talk about that one was allowed. That part was allowed. So we did talk about it. That one. There's a couple other things that we can't really talk about, but the Golden Tron is a thing.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Riders
just
on
more.
the Trons, Jonathan E. The Doors. Yep, there we go. There it is. That's what we're looking for.
That's it. We've got a winner.
Well done, Jonathan E. Coming on in from the YouTube chat. We appreciate you. Well, Dave, there's kind of a jailbreak going on here. Bruce Bird, he's doing the Bruce Bird things, flying the coop. Speaking of, now we got to talk about Leonard Skinnard. So,
And
look,
he's taking about 10 riders with him here.
he can't
little
change,
less
Dave. He can't change.
He's more saying, give me 3 steps, mister, I think, when you
There
look
you
at these
go.
guys. Now,
How many
Yep,
lyrics
coming-
can we involve in this broadcast? I mean, come on.
So they're coming up here on country, the country sprint, and it doesn't look like this group has got FTS in mind. They'll gobble up almost all of the FAL points there. But
Can
this
we talk about
is-
who's here
it's a
then too?
breakaway,
So it's Alpha,
right? I mean-
Alpha. Next, there's 2 next. There's 2 Alpha. There's 1 draft. I mean, draft are kind of the ones who lose out here in some ways, aren't they?
Yeah, and oddly enough, I felt like they would be the ones that would be the most into this kind of move out here today, talking about draft. But if you're draft, you're going to be sitting on this break. The numbers aren't quite right for you.
Well, look. Well, there goes Harris. He's definitely not interested in any kind of FTS.
Alpha's loving this, actually. This works
Think
pretty
so?
well for Alpha.
Yeah.
Well, having 2 next there, that's the problem. If it's just 1 next rider, I think they'd be a lot happier.
Who's shutting that down? HTFU have got 1 rider in here. Who is the rider with Chown? What? They're in a free speed kit. That's let me double check what the free speed kit is all about here. As far as the
Marcus
teams
Duval
go.
is one of the. Who are the other next rider here? Gumbel, right? Duval and Gumbel?
VCRT Amstaffs. That's who we're talking about when it comes to this free speed kit. And then HTFU are going to be the other one. So there's a battle kind of going on within this race here too, a little bit.
So Next had a 2-point advantage. This is going to be the sprint that we're looking at now, as Next is going to jump here.
Gumbel, big kick, Chown right on the wheel here. But next, they're going to be looking to take down the lion's share of the points if they can, going for those FAL for sure. Look at Duval.
They're going to go 1,
Duval,
2.
Duval,
Yeah.
Duval.
Art-
Yep, bam, bam. And that's exactly what they got to do right now for this to be meaningful, because they got to put Alpha on the back foot.
Well, they kind of are, to be honest. With that couldn't have gone any better. Talking about countryside sprint there. This is the next group coming through. Now, they are flying. This is definitely where the FAL's going. Or, excuse me, the FTS is going.
That's a little pixelated. It's a little too close.
It's a
Maybe we
little
go right
close,
about
yeah.
there. Maybe we go right around there.
I still like where your head is at. The close-ups on the sprints, that was the group, but that really was FTS points that we were looking at there. To be honest, there's more FTS points at that spot than there are FAL.
Pollitt's letting us know that he thinks he got that FTS. Magnum is what I'm seeing at a 648. We'll see if he can. Maybe he's saying good job to Magnum, who's his teammate, perhaps. And that is going to be a 648. That's absolutely flying. Well done there. As we do have the ladies, they're about to make their way onto the tempo climb. We'll see how things are going to start playing out over here, as they are pretty calm, 20.8. Speed differentiations are interesting, that's for sure, Dave. Boys are almost catching the ladies here, it looks like. As the reason being is that Freebird over here will not change. I mean, he is just pressing the pace continually, nonstop, making this as hard as he possibly can, wants every FAL, but he keeps on getting nipped because the way he's driving this pace. Duval's trying to hang on at this point. Harris is trying to come across, it looks like. We do have
He's not
DuPont
subtle.
Smith now.
Definitely, when you talk about Bruce Bird, he's not subtle with these moves, and it's destroying a lot of legs behind him. But you can see riders like Harris hanging right in there. That's going to be Megan Rathwell now, the Canadian, up on the front for the Riot team as they the Le Course en tête. The best way to control a bike race is from the head.
Yeah, Rathwell 6 watts per kilogram right from the get go on that Tron bike. Now being covered quickly here. Dave, do you think this is kind of like how she likes to ride? She's similar. If you're going to make some comparisons there to what we are seeing from Bruce Bird, she likes to just set a tempo at the front, high tempo, and make things difficult for everybody else. Nat Smith is there right on the wheel. Lawson from Aeonian now covering the moves. Anna Russell still involved, as you can see. So 3 Riots to the front here. They're going to have to defend on this, Dave. It's going to be tough to defend, I think, today. I really do. I think that we may see a shakeup in the standings because they've got the tactics, but there's a lot of raw power here from these other teams.
It's funny because every now and then you have to agree to disagree, right? And I really am so impressed by the way Riot is riding right now. I would take the exact opposite stance. I would say, boy, unless these teams do something special here, Riot has really got an iron fist clamping down on the front of this race right now. So it goes to show you how in 15 seconds everything can change out here as well. But right now, Riot, as you mentioned, with Megan Rathwell and Natalie Smith coming up, they're doing a tremendous job of setting just the right pace, the Goldilocks pace. Not too hot, not too cold, just fast enough that nobody wants to attack. And as I say that, Rachel Lieberman attacks. Perfect.
Straight to the front. I can give us live updates, actually. I'll do it through the way that I'll do this, though. We'll do it old school. And
nice, Nathan.
Yeah, we'll do it old school. And so the current standings, you can see here, ATP Racing Stingers with some FAL and FTSs doing a really good job. The share of that, though, really goes to Lieberman with FTS, and she's been quiet. We haven't seen her as first across the line, but I think she's coming from the back to the front a lot of times. Florzone there also with a lot of FTS, as you can see. So it's only 2 riders really scoring for them. Moran is there as well with 9 points on an FAL. So that's the situation there. Riot, though, scoring much more across all of the points here, though.
So, Nathan, go back to Racing Stingers then really quickly for me, because this was something we saw earlier today, that when you talk about a really comprehensive team, is it worth it or is it even possible? That's the thing, is even though it might sound like a great idea, I don't even know that it's physically possible to send someone like let's just use Joy, for example, attack off of the line and see if it's possible for her to get up to those first points.
They would get covered so quickly, though, right? I mean,
yeah, that's the problem.
Look at Xena. Xena's at, look at this, 20 and 35, really carrying the team. Poland, though, coming through with that 1 point. Interesting enough. And then there's Whitaker. I thought Poland actually took a bigger FAL than that. So we'll have to see if that gets updated. So this may have an update coming here soon. These are correct. But there's probably just an update coming pretty quickly here. So that's the situation.
Yeah, but you're right.
With the racing here. Lieberman. Now, go ahead about Xena.
8 seconds. Oh, well, yeah, but you're right. This is the story, is Rachel Lieberman, the rider out of Seattle, ATP, with 8 seconds now, Nathan. So just in the time that we went to go look at her points, we come back and she is riding away now.
Quick reminder, 73 is where they're at. They've got 3 points to make up the tie with Riot. 4. I don't think Riot's going that far down the list today, but if Riot are in...
They give up. If they finish 2 spots behind ATP...
Could be a tie game at the end of the day.
I think they'd be 1 point back.
1 point, ATP. 1 point, and then they have to win the time trial. Who won the time trial? In this is going to be the question then.
Right, just finish 1 spot ahead of them, and they'd get the point that they need as long as another team didn't roll them. It's kind of how you want it coming into the last week of racing, with things really, really tight. But Rachel Lieberman holding on to that gap. It's solidified to 8 seconds. Using her steamroller now. It's one of the rarely seen but really cool power-ups where it turns the surface that they're on into the equivalent of riding on smooth tarmac. No matter what you're on, it'll even turn smooth tarmac into smooth tarmac.
I think we're going to get an update over at WTRL pretty soon here, it looks like. So we'll get that as soon as we possibly can.
We'll know when we see those Poland points. actually.
Yeah.
That'll
Yep.
be right.
Good call. Because I think all the data just disappeared for a moment. So I think the servers are updating over there. Lieberman now 5.8 is going to get this. Xena now with the jump across. She's going to get the better of the group. Man, there are some new names just
Revo OTR
taking
rider. Yeah.
over from that Revo team. And they are
This
currently
is the
tied with
biggest one for me.
ATP. I really like what we're seeing from them. Xena now followed up by McGregor. There's Russell. Anna Russell taking the top spot for Riot out here today. She is on fire right now. Here's Rathwell right there. Lawson, Roberts, Smith is now trying to come across. They're going to try and slow things down up there. You know they are, because they need Smith to get involved here. They've got some firepower. They've got really consistent gravel grinders right here. You talk Christy Tracy and Jen Reel. They can bring this back, Dave. They got to work for it, but they can get back involved at the end of this race, but they're going to drag some ATP with them.
Yeah, the Texas component of this Riot team there with Real and Tracy. There's Smith now as well. That Stars and Stripes jersey is Jen Real riding for the Riot team. Just to note that that's 3 Riot, 2 ATP that we've got on our screen, with just over 10K of racing for the women, just over 12K of racing for the men now as we pick them up well into the Temple KOM here.
Yeah, DuPont has pushed the pace off the front now and is, he hung on to Bird's wheel right until they hit the dirt section. And then Bruce Bird sat in, or DuPont went over the top, one of the two. Brian Diddy was able to come across here. The only one, though, Gumbo goes backwards here, Dave. Now it's up to Duvall to take on the likes of Alpha out here today. So interesting things are developing right in front of our eyes right now.
And, so the 2 Alpha, 1 Duval, 1 Draft. Really, what's happening in the next group behind will be interesting to watch as well out here, as a 6-rider front group coming together. And let's see what happens now. These points might break this group up a little bit here.
Yeah, going to be a kick to the line in a moment. Now, this is the interesting thing. I got to, Dave, there's so much sidewinding and like just kind of almost a maze that you go through of dirt and jungle and these crazy, what is that? Is that like a deer hanging out in a temple over there with overgrowth? I mean, this is like, you're just like.
It's the strangest world. It almost makes me feel car sick.
Well, I kind of like it personally, but but what I'm getting at is for me, I don't know where I am though necessarily. Like I've ridden this so many times, and I still am like, where is that 9%? Oh, where is it? Oh, I got to cross another bridge. Wait, there's another bridge. And so, there's all this trying to figure out when to go. And once you cross this bridge and then hit this little downhill and then that 9%, you know that you're almost there. And this is usually the attack spot.
I feel like I'm like Alice in Wonderland when I'm in this world, where like some smiling cat is going to come out from behind a tree.
You do have a smiling Kappa. There's a smiling Kappa who comes out from behind a tree and gives you special information. Just make sure you eat the right mushroom. You do not want to shrink. You want to grow.
1 pill makes you bigger. 1 pill makes you smaller, right? It is that kind of world, though. A little bit of fantasy, a little bit of reality. Like
who's gonna go? There's no kick. Nobody's got a kick left. It's just Diddy pushing 6.5. Well, Duval went late though. That's really late. 8.9, 8.7. He's going to do it? Oh,
I don't know he's going to get there. Oh, my God. I don't know that you could time that any closer. I mean, that's like walking in the door just as they're putting the dinner plates down on the table, right?
5:02.
Timing
that's
that down
insane.
to the millisecond.
I got to look back at what I did. I did like a video one time of that, and that time is massively crazy. Holy cow.
We've seen a lot of things today, Nathan, but not anything quite like this men's race here. I'm saying 4, but it's actually, is it 5 in this group?
We got 4 now. So, Harris actually fell off, surprisingly enough. So
the Alpha rider.
With Harris, all 4 different teams represented, too. 4 different teams represented. So they've done a good job here between them to set this up.
Wow, what a grind out there. So then back over to the women now, who are going to be free falling to the finish line here. Finish coming up at 35.1 on the race odometer there. So both races somewhat similar in we really at this point don't have a peloton per se, just groups chasing groups. It's pandemonium out here in McCurry Islands today as they race the way back now from the daylight. This is what chasing the sun is all about. They're about to go back into the Umazi Tunnel and re-enter Neokyo.
You can see Nat Smith to the front, Joy there as well. Really
Great shot.
Doing a good job to bring this back. We did see a little bit of work, I think, from Revo and Aeonian to try and keep them off, but they can see that it's just not really helping them necessarily. And then Ryder just getting a free ride. So Ryder put themselves in a good position here to neutralize any kind of power that's on the front. As I think Jen and Christy Tracy, they're more than willing here to just put the work in. And that actually, Nanny Smith has been really driving the pace as well. Good on her, the New Zealand her that Russell discovered and brought them in. Yeah, they're going to make this catch, and then what happens from there? Because they got the numbers, but they're bringing. I think they've done most of the work. I'm not sure ATP has done anything here.
Does this though bring the entire Riot team up into that front group?
There may be one missing. Let me double check that though, because they start with 6.
So Christy Tracy's there, Jen Reel is there, Anna Russell is there, Megan is there.
Collins is not there, I don't believe. I'll double check though. I don't believe Collins is made it.
That tracks. So I don't know that we have a racer out here who isn't on a Tron bike today. I'm still looking for that.
Dave, just so you know, the uphills are the new downhills. We haven't been paying too much attention to the left-hand side of the screen there.
Downhill.
But look at the Duval and Diddy are off the back all of a sudden. And DuPont and Bird are gone. What?
Bird has been relentless out here. And now throw DuPont's name, DuPont Smith, into the mix. The HTFU, Harden the Funk Up team is crushing it out here. These two are gone. When you look at how motivated Bruce Bird is here today, so now you wonder what can happen. Is next? Well, I'm still not thinking that they give up the overall lead heading into the final race to wrap up this season, but they're really facing a challenge out here today. Those are the two teams that they needed to be worried about, Alpha and Draft, sending riders up the road. That alone does not mean that Next is in trouble, to tell you the truth. There's a lot more when you talk about how we score the points in Zwift Racing League. But these two, I don't see them coming back here today, talking about over on the men's side of things with DuPont, Smith, and Bird.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to stay. I think they're going to stay away. And the reason being, Dave, it's a good call out there. And I think the reason for that, though, is because there's just not enough numbers behind any longer to make this
staying the same. Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just there's no group, let alone an organized group. But it's pretty much every man for himself over there.
And then you'd have to have Duval and Diddy working together. They're not going to do, right. And
they're neutralizing each other, aren't they?
Yeah. And I mean, Harris, Diddy wants Harris to come back. That's exactly what Diddy wants, right? So
and he's getting it.
Exactly. So now Duval's got 3 other riders to work against him. Bruce Raymer now trying to make a move, it looks like, and get across. 25 seconds is doable. It is, with 2 riders chasing hard as he pushes up into 61 kilometers per hour. They almost have him in sight. It's going to be quite a ways down the road, but they almost can see those riders up ahead. As it is going to be Daly. Well, Daly's getting into a super tuck. That's a smart move.
They're motivated where the guys up front are kind of looking at each other a little bit right now, getting tactical. So I'm with you. I don't know that I'd bet the mortgage on these guys making that catch, closing down 25 seconds, but they're whittling away at it.
Ladies entering the tunnel. Back in to Neokyo. And surprised nobody's trying to make a move. This is definitely a section, of course, where you could try to, but there's a pretty big FTS coming up. We saw Wahoo Lacole win. Oh, Dave, look behind.
That's close. They're right there. They are right there. So as we come into Neokyo, Nathan, that's just a handful of. They're going to close that gap down. It's gotten very tactical up in the front group. So go ahead. It looks like Megan Florazone, the ATP team, and company are riding their way back here.
It's Collins who's driving it, though.
Good
Collins at
for her.
5.2 watts per kilogram, driving this pace to bring all the riot together, Dave. And here's the thing. What did we see earlier? The lessons were learned, and that's why Lieberman's going to the front, because we saw WLC take all those FTS on the tower. They weren't interested in number one across line, but they went 2, 3, 4 plus FTS. And I bet you that's exactly what Riot are thinking about. We need to stack the points in this next sprint to really solidify their place.
It's one thing to think it, it's another thing to do it, but you are exactly right. As that is exceptionally rare that you see something like this happening, a regrouping. It's Group 2, doesn't throw in the towel. They chase their way back into Group 1. We've got a peloton down under 5K of racing now. With really, there's two unique, important features to look forward to at this point. Tower sprint reverse and the finish line for these ladies.
On the front, is that McGregor taking over at the front, I believe? Yep. There it is, the Revo rider.
McGregor.
Yeah, OTR, Revo RTR. Now, good on the Cyclopass here, also able to put a rider or two into this lead group as they make their way around here. Only a couple of K left to go. There's going to be a tower sprint and then quickly followed up by the finale for the finish line. ATP are here with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 riders for ATP, I believe. We've got the entirety of the Riot team, so that puts them in such a great position. But I think Aeonian have also put almost every one of the riders. Who's missing here for Aeonian? I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders for Aeonian. I'll see what I can figure out here for their team.
It does look like the queens of this race remain Riot. They just need to stay on their game here. Well positioned on the front. There's going to be an explosion. Once this one pops, it'll be like opening a bottle of champagne.
It's going to be
That'll
crazy.
be it.
It's going to be absolutely crazy. Oh,
But
now we go.
still
Here we go. Here we go.
ATP
Opening
moving
up. Now, very
goes.
early with those power-ups, actually. Angela Roberts here. Now, coming from the back to the front, that's going to be a good FTS if she gets it all the way through. It looks like she is going to have 12.8 watts per kilogram almost all the way to the line. Roberts now does what she does best, but there's still riders coming on strong here to the line. It's going to be really about the speed there. Florazone found a lot. That was a lot of Aeonian, Dave.
I think a lot of Riot, to be honest. Riot barely
there
got
wasn't.
I'm shocked that they got jumped. They waited they didn't start their sprint until way too late. It was going so slow as they came into the 200
Do you think
meters
they went
to go
too early, actually? I felt like they went really early, but maybe we'll have to see if I can find some point structure there and figure out what happened exactly. Because I feel like they kind of led things out a little bit, but maybe I misjudged
they had
it.
position, but they weren't keeping the speed high enough, would be my thought.
Yeah, gotcha.
But, you can overcome something like that. That's not the end of the day.
The finish line has a lot of points, doesn't it, Dave?
Yep.
A lot of
really
points at the finish line, and it's not like they've had a bad race so far, but it's coming right down to it here, it feels like. It really does.
I have a feeling there's going to be a flurry of attacks from the Riot team after what we just saw. They must be conservative now with the plan of opening up the floodgates into this finale, because it is very un-Riot-like for them to let other teams take the race to them. Usually they're the ones throwing hands out there, throwing punches.
I think we're going to get an update here in about a minute over at WTRL.racing. They're updating on every 15 minutes, I'm now seeing. So we'll have to wait until 7:15 USA time, and we should be able to get some information. Lieberman to the front. ATP now just driving the pace. McGregor, Russell, Rathwell, all there. They're covering very closely, Dave. I think one of the Riot ladies are going to lead things out. I really do. But Lieberman says, forget that. I look at Lieberman says, forget it. Oh, there's a burrito. She's got a burrito, Dave.
All right. Well, the world's least popular power-up is being deployed here by Rachel Lieberman. not allowing any draft, and no one seems too worried about it. We're about a K from the finish right now. Lieberman eking out a couple seconds. Well, good for ATP. Rachel Lieberman, extremely strong, but I have a feeling that Riot's about to hit the Jets.
Zena now kicking, it looks like here, not wanting to let that get away, but that's going to be in Riot. So, well, Riot's not necessarily hanging on, though. They can't hold on. Christy Tracy cannot hold to the wheel, and that's not going to be the lead out that they're looking for. Now, they're going to be able to hold these kind of watts all the way to the line. I think Lieberman can do it. Now, where is the kick from Nat Smith and the rest of the crew? Lots of burrito power-ups. Here comes Nat Smith. Big arrow
the wheelhouse. Now. Yeah, and that's going to be the Riot team that we're looking at. But is Real coming through? It's going to be interesting. Natalie Smith setting things up for the team. Back to the front now. Rachel Lieberman holding on. Will she make it to the line? Looks like she will.
Yeah, Lieberman's going to do this here. Zena, they're coming in for second, it looks like, across the line. Jen Real's able to take third. Lots of Riot right there, but man, that's going to be 2 Riot riders. Dave, this one's really going to come right down to it. This is really going to come right down to, I think, a couple of points. I might be wrong about that, but I really do think that this is going to be a really close race at the end of the day.
And to be honest, if you're a fan of this racing, it's almost going to be better to have Riot not taking the win today. It'll just tighten things up heading into our final event next week. We are 1 week away from wrapping up this season, but not for these guys. They've got to wrap up today first. They're down to 2K of racing here. Well, actually, for this group now, make it more like, well, right here, we're at less than 2K to go.
Yeah, I think it's about 1K actually, as DuPont and Bird, they're still off the front. Duval actually broke everybody else, it looks like, that was left over as he got away from that crew. I think he probably jumped up over the top of the sprint. I have a feeling that's what happened there, is that after the sprint, he made the move. He actually saved his arrow power up till this moment rather than going for that burrito in the end. I think Bruce Bird might get the better of this. We'll have to wait and see, though, as he makes his way to the line.
400 meters for these two now. DuPont, there's the arch. Boy, DuPont Smith's in a bit of trouble right now. Bruce Bird has his wheel here. Should jump any second. There he goes.
Nice little kick. Bird saved that arrow power up, and he's going to get the better of him here at this point. That's going to be first and second place across the line. Duval's going to be in for third, it looks like. Holding just barely over Chowan out of
That's a name
Canada.
To remember. Yeah, we'll hear more from Chowan.
VCRT rider? Yeah, I think you're right there. Alpha now, I don't think that they did what they need to do today for their plans. Alpha off the back here a little bit. But Duval... Well,
where's the next? Here comes Warren Meir and company. This is Raymer finishing right now.
Interesting. Where the heck is the next? Next person right insured. WLC, Haney, HCFU. There's only one here.
One in here, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm not seeing as much next as I expected to see.
Yeah, good call. It's just Duval, really, at this point. So Gumbo's the next rider here. So maybe next are going to fade. It's a lot of points to give up here.
It feels bad. I mean, if I'm on the next perspective, I'm not feeling great about it right now.
Yeah, it's a good call. I don't think that I have a feeling that they're going to fall down on this leaderboard, actually, because looking at the point structure here, they're only up by 2, and I think Draft did what they need to do as well as Alpha.
Oh, yeah. I mean, theoretically, if both Draft and Alpha Collective today finish on top of next, right? I mean, we could have a three-way. Well, we couldn't have a three-way tie, but we could have 3 teams within 1 point of each other coming into next week. I think I
was gonna jump across to the women's race, but the racing was so fast in the women's race that they're done already in the B category.
Wow, good for them. If you're a B woman, you're loving life right now. That is some quick racing. Well, I don't know if you're loving life, but you're feeling good about your fitness. I guess is a better way to put it. You're probably in a pool of sweat right now, gasping for air after an experience like that.
Let's see if we can get some results coming in here.
That's everybody. Not loving life. That's
No,
something
that's
different,
not.
isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
it's
Well, this is how the top 10 finished out here. And this does give you some insight on how the day went, but it's only a little bit of data in a big pool that's necessary to know what team won the day and how the season standings are holding up. But right now, Rachel Lieberman, top of the table with the win today. The breakthrough sprinter this season is definitely going to be Zina Lufti, finishing second today. Jen Reel in third, Anna Russell for fourth, Angela Roberts there in fifth, Meredith Duell Moran in sixth, Natalie Smith for seventh today, Christy Tracy in eighth, Josie Rosignol for ninth, and Megan Rathwell rounding out our top 10 at finish line.
And let's go ahead and see if we can jump across actually to. We do have the finish coming up here of the men's B race, I believe, as they make their way to the finish line. They've got about 2 kilometers or so to go for the men's B race, as it is going to be Swami Racing here. 28th. Let's see if I can find the front end of this, but things completely blown apart. And the downtown of Neokyo tends to be so turny and winding that you can't always find the front end of the bike race. But it looks like Damascus here now helping us out. They might have already just be finishing, actually. You can see off in the distance, 30 Ducks was Slice here in 22nd, but can't quite get there. So we'll see if we can bring this in for a finish line here in a second.
R. Amos, not thinking, look, Canadian, so it's not Riley Amos, the American mountain bike superstar out of Durango.
It'd be crazy if he actually was jumping in with
yeah,
just some random USA A race, B race.
Isn't it crazy that, 2 of the best American road racers and the 2 best American mountain bike racers all come from the same zip code in Durango? Quinn Simmons, Chris Blevins, Riley Amos, and Sepp Kuss all grew up in the same zip code.
Yeah,
and, I mean, you really are.
There's something there. There's obviously something going on in Durango with and that's the reality of having the junior racing and what it's all about.
Getting kids outside, right? I mean, just that lifestyle in Durango is all about adventure. The Sisu that we talk about, they're living it up there. So you reap what you sow. That's for sure. This group has finished up out here.
One thing that we didn't show, actually, so apologies on that, to the B category for the ladies. Let's go ahead and head through this for the top 10. This is just across the line. Then we'll head over to the A's and the B's for the men for the finish up of our broadcast.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Let me take it from the top here as Di Voita is going to be the first rider over the line. It looked like it was close to a photo finish there between Di Voita, and then in second place it was Chris of the Aeonian team. Lauren Babbs coming through for third. Debbie Woods-Turner in fourth. Heather Lincoln for fifth today. Sarah McMaster in sixth. Judy, one of the Dinos riders, in seventh. Eighth place going to Whitney. They call it Whip Stedham. There, the OTR methane rider in eighth. It's Natalia Stret, backwash, in ninth. And 10th going to Kat Weiss. I like the name of the team, Natalie. For the men out here today, this was the A men with Bruce Bird, the Canadian superstar, over the line first, with Noah DuPont Smith coming through. It was those two were in a breakaway that came to the line. Marcus Duval for next in third. Nathan Chown, that's a breakthrough ride from Nathan tonight, in fourth. Harris in fifth. B. Diddy in sixth. Bruce Raymer, seventh today. Evan Haney in eighth. Sean Daly in ninth. And Michael Kroner rounds out our top 10 for the A men as they raced Chasing the Sun tonight here in the Eastern 1 group. But that's our top 10 men. We'll jump over now for the B men, taking a look at Steve Connor on top of the table with Brad Patnow coming through for second. Era Parsegian in third. Phil Rides in fourth. Jamie Percival in fifth. Joel Harding in sixth. Daniel Flores in seventh. Eric Snelling eighth. Gautier Debusir in ninth. And Christopher Mady in 10th. Nathan, does the name Era Parsegian ring any bells for you? I think you're a little young.
Tennis for some reason, but
football would be the sport. Gotcha. But yes, I'm going to say a star of the 50s and 60s of American football. So it's a different era, Parsegian. Unless he's kept that fitness going for the last 75 years.
Real quickly, this is not finals results or anything. This is where things stood before the finish line with Zena taking so many points to putting Revo really up at the top here. Whitaker was there as well in Poland, now getting that 10 points we had talked about earlier. Riot came into the final couple of sprints here in second, but ATP Stingers, I think, really put a lot on the board. So things were really still up in the air at this point, Dave, with the, I think really close, really close when it came to that women's racing.
And if I remember correctly, Revo OTR, they weren't second, were they? I think that was Aeonian that was in second, or was it ATP? It was Aeonian, right, with Revo OTR in third there. So, well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, because if they do get the better of Riot, it will come down to which team. Well, let me think about it for a second. It'll come down to, Nathan, if they beat Riot tonight, it'll be who wins in the team time trial next week will win the season. There's a couple ways that wouldn't play out, but that's 95% sure there. But it's going to depend on Revo OTR getting the win tonight. Otherwise,
it's just... you want to see what happened here. Next coming into the final there was doing pretty dang well. We don't have a finish line just yet, so it's real close here as well, it looks like, with Next, Draft, and Alpha all pretty high up on that table, as you can see. So it does update at the half hour, and we still got about 4 minutes to that. We'll let everybody go check that out, though. I got to get ready for my race. I got to go take on this exact race, actually, in about 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I need to get ready. This whole setup here turns into a racing machine. So everything has to change.
You flip a switch, and it's like
I wish it was like a bat cave. I wish it was like a bat cave or like something where I just pop up and then, there you go. It probably is a little more akin to Back to the Future and the dock and how everything kind of like flies all over and then
right.
you play a guitar and everything blows up more so or anything. So, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. You can go back and watch the EMEA that was earlier today if you want to see some really great racing from Europe. That was the Americas. We will be back with a new time for the wrap. Because we've been kind of all over the place with that. We'll be scheduling that ASAP, but Wednesday nights now it looks like is what we're setting up.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So that's going to be changing up, and we'll be back next week for Zwift Racing League and the Race Like a Champ finale for this month. Thanks everybody for tuning in from Dave and I. It's been a great day of racing, hasn't it, Dave?
It's been awesome. Thanks a lot, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the wrap. As always, thanks for tuning in from Dave and I, and ride on.